I've forgotten that this movie has probably the most annoying song I've ever heard on the soundtrack, and it's actually played during the big fight scene at the end, or just before. Like, I'll have nightmares now. I will not be able to get this out of my head. For those of you wondering what song that is, just take a listen. Kill Bill Volume 1! Released in 2003 and is directed by Quentin Tarantino, who will tell you that he is probably the greatest director who ever lived. He's behind such films like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Glorious Bastards, Django Unchained, and The Hateful Eight. Dang it, he's directed some great shit. And this film stars Uma Thurman, Lucy Liu, Vivica A. Fox, and David Carradine. Uma Thurman plays the bride, who used to be a skilled assassin by the name of Black Mamba. But on the day of her wedding, her former boss, Bill, enters the chapel and kills everyone, including the bride. However, the bride does survive a bullet to the brain, and when she wakes up from her coma a few years later, she vows revenge on all of the assassins, including Bill, that did this to her. Premise? It's actually very simple. You done me wrong, you tried to kill me, you killed all my friends, you killed my baby. Yeah, I'm coming after you, bitch. So this is hailed as the fourth film by Quentin Tarantino. God, he is... I love a lot of his movies. Inglourious Bastards, I think, is his peak. I love that thing to death. But with the majority of his films, this one being like the huge catalyst to that, I just get an air of pretension when I pop in his movies. The man is a brilliant filmmaker. He knows a ton. He knows a lot about different types of cinema. He knows a lot about their history. He's a great storyteller. He's a great screenwriter. He knows how to capture the images in the camera. But with this film, I feel like he's just putting that all out there for you, saying, I know a lot of things about movies. See, I'm the best ever. Because this one just incorporates so much from all different types of genres. I'm really the mastermind at combining all of this. I just love all of this, and now here's all my love, just splooging on screen. Which I feel like he would actually do. Splooge samurai cinema. Splooge grindhouse cinema. I'm not a big fan of Quentin Tarantino the person. I find a lot of his dialogue for African Americans and for women are very contrived. It's all coming from this white male that is Quentin Tarantino, and you hear a lot of N-words in his dialogue that he writes, and you hear a lot of sexual exploitation when it comes to the female characters. I'm not a big fan of that at all. And I get that those are story devices that can help an audience get into the culture and to the aesthetic of the story that he is telling. But with the exploitation and the N-words, he uses them a lot in almost every single one of his movies. It's shocking how this white director can get away with doing that. Probably because his movies are very good. This one, though, I would probably put towards the bottom of the Quentin Tarantino list of the ranking of all of his movies, just because this is Volume 1. So there's obviously going to be a Volume 2. Maybe there'd be a Volume 3 when this one was coming out. We knew that Volume 1 was coming out one year, Volume 2 was coming out the next year. Who knew if a third one was going to be coming out the year after that? So going in, I feel the audience had a sense of, yes, this is not going to be the complete story. And I remember the first time that I watched this movie, and we get to that ending, and I go, but nothing was resolved. Oh, come on! I know, it's said in the title, it's Volume 1, so it's not going to resolve everything, but damn it, I wanted it to. So this movie's not its own thing, which I think brings it down a couple of pegs for me. Now, when I did see this movie, this was back in probably 2006, around that time, because when this movie originally came out, this was around the time where I was starting to watch some horror movies and starting to watch some gory pictures. When I was growing up, I was extremely sheltered. My parents wouldn't allow me to watch a lot of horror pictures, and when I did, I would close my eyes, or my parents would close my eyes whenever it got bloody or too scary. So the sight of blood, or the idea of seeing blood, just made me nauseous, made me cringe, and I didn't want to see anything. And I knew that there was a lot in this movie. So a couple of years go by, I'm more attuned to seeing blood, or at least fake blood in cinema, so I watched this movie. And watching it again for this review, I'm trying to think back to that version of Caleb and go, why were you so appalled and why were you so scared about this blood? Because it looks so fake. Blood coming out of like arms and appendages, coming out of your eye sockets. It looks like cherry syrup or cherry pie filling. Not scary or gory at all. When heads are being chopped off by samurai swords, it gushes like a fountain. Pretty ridiculous in my opinion. Again, that's the aesthetic here. We're going for that grindhouse effect. But it's gushing like a fountain. It's just, come on. That's just a good time. That's fun. Now, between the two films, Volume 1 and Volume 2, I know for a fact that I have watched Volume 2 way more times than Volume 1. Because, here's the kicker, that one has a resolution to it. And we get a lot more of the struggle of this character and the progression of this character from someone who, wants to be an assassin but has no skills, and then going through the training process about how it's basically beaten to death, trying to toughen her up and to make her cold, to the point where she eventually gets her revenge. Whereas here we start off with the bride and she's being shot at her wedding. And then she wakes up from a coma, and she's able to get rid of the atrophy in her legs, and then she's able to go and kill at least half of the assassins that fucked up her shit, and she's a total badass. So, the progression, the character development here, there's really not a lot to it. We get a lot more when it comes to Volume 2, and that's the stuff that I link to the most when it comes to movies. Now, the action sequences in here are pretty badass. The whole final battle with the crazy 88, it's wonderful. It's gory, it's staged beautifully, the choreography is wonderful. We have several cinematic choices that we have throughout this entire battle. We go from our standard aesthetic, then we go to black and white, and then we go to silhouettes. Oh, when the silhouettes come in, I am a sucker for silhouettes. Give me silhouettes all day long. I could see an entire story done in silhouettes, and I love it. Silhouettes my favorite thing in the world. But you have standard samurai dueling. You have high spots. You have comedy. You have drama. Everything is here. And really, when it comes to Uma Thurman, I think that this is probably the best thing she's ever done. Her portrayal of the bride, I mean, it's her peak, in my opinion. Before this, the only thing I knew her as was Poison Ivy. We all know what happened there. Her devotion to the physicality of portraying this role is great, and I love the little character moments that we do get from her. When she wakes up in the hospital bed from her coma, and she looks down, the last time she looked down at her belly, she had her little girl inside, and then it's gone. Yeah, how... I couldn't even imagine the terror and the pain and the emotion that would go behind that from waking up into that situation. Oh, that is awful. And her breaking down, the tears, the almost non-sound that she was trying to get out of her mouth, that is true excruciating pain, whether it's physical or emotional. If you can't get a sound out and you're trying to scream, that is true pain. It reminds me of Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice. If you watch the interviews with her, she says that after her character makes the choice in the film, she thought she was letting out this big wailing scream, and it shows her doing that. But nothing is coming out. And when she gets the playback, she sees that, oh, nothing was coming out. And that is true excruciating pain. But when you get down to this movie at its core, it's a lot of set dressing, a lot of cool spectacle. There's a lot of cool things happening. But when we get to our character development, not really there. And you can tell all of that is being saved for the second one. But if you're going to watch Volume 2, of course you have to watch Volume 1. It is a good start. It's not a terrible film by any means. It does feel more like a standard B-C grindhouse type samurai picture. So if you go in with that mindset, you're going to have a lot more fun with this movie than someone that's just watching this because, oh, it's cinema and it's Quentin Tarantino, so of course this is probably going to be fantastic. I'm going to give Kill Bill Volume 1 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part in my videos where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next. So let's take a look. Nebraska. This movie, I've watched it once. It's all in black and white, I remember. I believe this one was also nominated for Best Picture a couple of years ago. But from what I remember, this was back when the Academy Awards started doing more than 5 films a year. This is right when they started doing it. So when they were doing like 10 or 9 films, I guess like how they're doing it now, this is one of those artsy independent features that were like, yes, this is great, but it's probably not going to win, but we'll just put it here because we're, it shows us our class, and we're very open to different types of stories and storytelling. And, we're the Academy. And all I can remember from it, I actually can't remember any of the actors in the film. I know that there's the old guy that I feel has dementia or something like that, and he wants to travel the country because he needs to get somewhere because he got a letter in the mail saying that he won something. It's like one of those cheap little, hey, you won this, come on down, we'll give you a free lunch dinner, or we'll give you a free keychain if you just listen to our sales pitch of a brand new car, or something like that. But I remember really enjoying it. It was a great father-son picture, because his son, of course, has to drive him across the country. I haven't seen it in years, though. I can't remember anything from it. But we'll check it out next time. Again, thank you very much, Gemma R, for the recommendation. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, please leave your comment below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter. Leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout out on the channel. So everyone, have you seen Kill Bill Volume 1? What did you think about it? What is your favorite between the two Kill Bill films, if you've seen both of them? Volume 1 or Volume 2? Please comment below and let me know. And if you like what you saw here, if you like my take on movies, then hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot with growing this channel. And if you have friends, if you have family members that love hearing people talk about movies, just gloat about movies, love on movies, bash on movies, and send them over my way, hit the subscribe button so they know the next time I'm publishing my next movie review. And remember, if we hit 1,000 subscribers, I will torture myself by recording myself watching and reviewing Arachnophobia, which I've been terrified to watch ever since I was a little kid. It's gonna be wonderful for you. So everyone, I will see you next time with my review of Nebraska. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.